When I was 18, I experienced something that still gives me chills to this day. Now, at 22, I live in San Antonio, Texas. It was my senior year of high school, just as COVID-19 was starting to blow up. Everything began shutting down, including my school. Even though everyone was supposed to be staying home and quarantining, my friends and I went out more than ever. With non-essential businesses closed, there wasn't much to do, but one thing about me is that I love urban exploring and exploring haunted places. To this day, I still do. I'm not easily scared. I've had encounters with the homeless, cults, and even had a gun pointed at me, but nothing compared to this one creepy experience I had while exploring. Around this time, I started talking to a girl from my high school class named Clarissa. If it weren't for her matching my story about that night, I'm sure none of my friends would have believed me. We were still newly dating, but I somehow convinced her to explore a wooded natural park at 3 a.m. here in San Antonio. The park is called O.P. Schnabel. It's relatively nice, safe, and scenic during the day, but at night, it can be dangerous, and police usually patrol the entrances to keep people out. In 2016, a 24-year-old woman named Lauren Bump was brutally murdered there, and in 2021, a boy exploring the woods was shot. Clarissa and I arrived at the park around 3 a.m. It was super creepy and pitch black. The trees did a great job of covering the moonlight. I don't like using flashlights because they ruin your night vision and can attract attention from a distance, so we kept ours off. We were about 15 to 20 minutes into walking the main trail. I didn't plan to stay long because it was eerily quiet that night. I knew of a trail that led back to where my truck was parked, making a full circle instead of walking all the way back around. Clarissa agreed to take that trail, and we started walking. We were probably only 2 minutes into the off-road trail when suddenly, out of nowhere, a flute began playing. Clarissa and I stopped dead in our tracks and listened. Whoever was playing it was doing so in perfect cadence, playing what sounded like a piece of music. It was creepy as hell. I don't scare easily, but 15 seconds into the flute solo, Clarissa began trembling in fear and was on the brink of crying. I was just listening until Clarissa started praying to God to save her and forgive her for her sins. That's when I realized the severity of the situation. It was hard to pinpoint where the sound of the flute was coming from. It seemed like it was coming from the direction of the previous main trail, parallel to where we were, with about 30 to 50 yards of woods in between. But it was getting louder and closer, to the point where it sounded like it was right on top of us. Clarissa was too scared to focus, so I knew I had to man up and get us out of there. I told her not to worry and that I wouldn't let anything happen to her. I suggested we run down the off-road trail to get away, so we did. As we sprinted, I believe the flute stopped playing, but I was more focused on getting out of there. We had only run about 30 feet when we heard the rustling of bushes and the snapping of leaves and twigs. Something big dashed across the trail in front of us. It could have been a deer or some other large animal, but it felt strange. I didn't see a silhouette or shape, and I didn't hear it coming or running away, just the dash right in front of us. We turned back around and bolted to the original point where we heard the flute. As if whoever was playing it was waiting for us to return, the flute started again, louder and right on top of us. It sounded like it belonged to some sort of Irish jig, but still impossible to pinpoint. The sound was just surrounding us. At this point, my fight or flight instincts kicked in. We had two options: go back into the off-road trail where we heard the terrifying dash, or go back to the main trail where the flute player was. The off-road trail was scarier because it was darker and surrounded by denser forest. At least the main trail was a cement path. I told Clarissa, who was still trembling, that we should run back down the main trail to the truck. We ran back, turning the 20-minute walk into a 7 to 8 minute jog. Somewhere along the run, the flute noise must have stopped. There was a random porta potty along the way, which scared me, but thankfully, no one was inside or nearby. My truck was the only vehicle in the area near the main entrance to the woods. We made it to the truck, and I sped away. The next day, I told all my friends about it and looked online to see if anyone had experienced something similar. People claimed to run into ghosts, cults, and animals making terrifying noises, but I couldn't find anything about a soft and rhythmic flute solo. Maybe I didn't look hard enough. I tried to figure out all the possibilities. There are some houses that lead into a neighborhood on the far edge of the woods, but they are miles away. There's no way the sound could have traveled that far, especially since it was clear as day at 3 a.m. I never found out who was playing the flute or what dashed in front of us. Writing this story still gives me chills. The more I think about it, the more it seems paranormal rather than something scary on a tangible level. I don't know if it was a person, ghost, cult, or what. I'm really hoping someone might have a rational explanation. Either way, I never went back to those woods at night. I still explore plenty of creepy places, but I've never come across anything like that again.